All right, guys, it's that time for the NFC West Huddle, your favorite show. At least that's my story, and we're sticking to it. We're recording a little early this week because of Thanksgiving. It's the holiday week. We've got the best in the West to talk about the best in the NFC West. Right over in Seattle, we got Lauren Helmbrecht. In San Francisco, Bailey O'Carroll. And in L.A., my man, Pots and Pans, Gerard Moncure. The guy who always wins no matter what. Here in Arizona, I'm Richard Sines, representing the Cardinals and my fantasy football team, the Chimichangas, right? Let's talk about last week and how it all went down. I want to hear from each and every one of you on what your favorite Thanksgiving dish is and how it went for your team. Lauren, how did it go out there in Seattle, and what are you looking forward to this Thanksgiving?
All right, so I'll start with what I like for Thanksgiving. I know it's not a very popular take, but I'm a big fan of a green bean casserole. I know a lot of people don't like it. The way I make it, it's a Bon Appetit recipe. I got to give him a shout out. It's so good. And you know who else is so good? Jackson Smith-Njigba. I'm going to say his name a lot today, so just be prepared. The Seahawks beat the Tennessee Titans, and their first big touchdown they scored in the game, 63-yard pass, catch, run, Darnold to JSN. After beating his defender, Smith-Njigba literally walks backwards into the end zone. He finishes with 8 catches, a season-high 167 yards with 2 touchdowns. He set Seattle's single-season receiving yards record with 1,313 yards, 10 more yards than DK Metcalf's 2020 record. And a reminder, the Hawks have only played 11 games so far. Now, I got to say, it's going to be hard to dog on a Titans team that only has 1 win on the season. And I have to hand it to Cam Ward. He played probably his best game of the year against the Hawks. Ward led the Titans to their season high in points with 24 in the loss. But Seattle's defense feasted on Ward, sacking him 4 times. So I'll say the bad part of this Seahawks win over the Titans. The Hawks defense comes away injured. Linebacker Chaz Surratt leaves the game with an ankle injury. Safety Ty Okada hurts his oblique. He misses the second half. And then on offense, running back George Holani hurts his hamstring. So getting healthier for the Hawks, also finishing in the red zone. Those will be my biggest takeaways from a win for the Seahawks in a game where I feel like they played pretty well, and of course paying attention to JSN coming up the rest of the season. I mean, the Hawks have some games I think they could get some easy wins. The Panthers, Cardinals, they're playing the Falcons. I mean, if they split with the Cardinals, I think they could get 3 of those 4 games should be wins. Pardon me, those are for the Rams. Sorry about that. I'm already talking about your Rams team because that's all the Seahawks are thinking about. They're thinking, okay, the Rams are doing so well, so how are the Seahawks going to do? The Rams have a little easier, Seahawks a little harder remaining schedule, but they should get some healthy guys back, and when they do, I think the Seahawks can push it in the end of the year. But right now, look, I'm like other Seattle fans. You're thinking Rams already. Even though they're coming off a win, they're thinking, well, how'd the Rams do? How'd the Rams do?
Well, it's funny you mentioned Tennessee only has 1 win on the year. Yeah, it was against the Cardinals. Thanks a lot, Lauren. Coming in firing haymakers already. All right, Bailey, over there in San Francisco, what are you looking forward to as far as Thanksgiving dish is concerned? And you can't say a McFlurry. And, what you think about San Francisco, now that we got Brock Purdy back?
Okay, so we are fresh off Monday Night Football. I'm fresh off not a lot of sleep coming back from that game. But let's talk about Thanksgiving first. Green bean casserole, not for me. I actually hate it. I think it's disgusting. I'm going to put it in my worst Thanksgiving food.
More for me.
My favorite. Exactly. I'll save it all for you. My favorite, if it's not the Hawaiian rolls, because who doesn't love a good carb, I'm going to say cranberry sauce. And before you're like, what the heck? Not the stuff out of the can. My mom makes this really good cranberry green apple sauce. It's so good. It's like chef's kiss. You just have to taste it. Ask me for the recipe. I'm more than happy to send it out. On to football, though. These 49ers, Brock Purdy, in his second full game back of the season, coming off of turf toe in his right foot, throws 3 interceptions. So that's something, 3 plays he would like to have back. He said it yesterday after the game. He's got to clean that up. And everybody kind of, it was that rust maybe that he had to shake off, because in his first game back, he didn't really have any rust to shake off. And I was like, okay, Brock Purdy back with a hot hand. It looked like he took a little bit of a step back in this game on Monday night. But 49ers fans hoping that he gets it out of his system. But the good thing is they have a guy on their team named Christian McCaffrey, a pretty good running back in the NFL. His stats, It's unreal. I did the math. He accounted for 44% of the 49ers offense yesterday. 24 carries, 89 yards, 7 receptions, 53 yards. So opposing defenses, you try. Good luck if you can. Catch him if you can. Christian McCaffrey, got to try to stop him. Another bright spot for the Niners, Jair Brown had 2 interceptions, so that sort of made up for Brock Purdy throwing 3 interceptions. It was a weird game, Monday Night Football, but I think the Niners, they've got a short week. No time to dwell on the past. They've got to look ahead to Cleveland, the Browns, which you'd like to think that they should be able to get a win in, but we were talking about it before the show. Weather, is it going to be a factor? We don't know. I've not checked the weather report, so I have to see. But with my expertise, I'd like to think San Francisco goes into Cleveland and gets a win. But time will tell. It's the NFL. Wins are not easy to come by.
Tell me about it. The Cardinals haven't won in forever. Trust me, they're not easy to come by here in Arizona. That's for sure. All right, Gerard, let's go to L.A. and check in on you. Your Rams look fantastic. I'm going to guess what your favorite dish is for Thanksgiving. It's probably ham, because you guys there in L.A. have been hamming it up with your Rams and your Dodgers and the Lakers. So go ahead. What you got over there in L.A.?
Richard, it is all about fried turkey. Fried turkey on Thanksgiving is the main course. My stepdad makes a mean fried turkey, spices it up, with some Cajun spices. It is amazing. It's amazing. The Rams have been amazing. The only thing I didn't like about the game Sunday night was they only scored 3 points in the second half, but they won that second half 3-0. The first half was just pure domination in front of the entire country to see. They led it 31-7 at the break. They scored 4 times, all 4 possessions on offense, 3 touchdowns, a field goal, and then of course, Kobe Durant had the INT pick 6 of Baker Mayfield, and the game was basically over at halftime. Defensively, they were phenomenal. Held Baker Mayfield in the first half to 9 of 19, 41 yards, 2 picks. They only gave up 22 yards rushing in the first half. It was a masterclass of defense for the entire country to see. I think the only bad thing coming out about it is Monday, social media-wise, everything was about the Rams winning the Super Bowl. That's never a good thing with this much time left in the season. Sean McVay does a fantastic job of keeping it under control in Woodland Hills. But, boy, everyone is giving them headlines and flowers, and it's a little early for that right now.
Well, you're the one that started it. I have it in my diary. Gerard was already talking smack about the Rams being the #1 seed. My favorite dish on Thanksgiving is stuffing. We got plenty of that because the Cardinals got the stuffing knocked out of them all year long. So, the Cardinals are in trouble. They're not making the playoffs. The rest of the teams in the division could make the playoffs. More on that coming up after the break. All right, we are back. Oh, yes, it's the NFC West Huddle. We are talking playoffs. Playoffs? Yeah, everybody's talking playoffs, but us here in Arizona, it's already positioning for the NFL draft, right? But my question is to you guys, will we have 3 teams from the NFC West in the playoffs? We know so far it's a kind of a 2-man race, right, between Seattle and L.A., but San Francisco, now that they got Brock Purdy, they're coming on strong. Bailey, do you think you guys can crash the party?
Oh, my face, I feel like, says it all. I'm just not sure. Part of me says yes. The other part of me says no. And here's the thing. Brandon Ayuk, we've seen all the headlines at this point. Contract voided, contract guarantees, I should say, voided. They've had so many injuries, and that is something that I have said since week 1. I think it comes down to the play of Christian McCaffrey. Can Brock Purdy take care of the football? And what can Robert Saleh, their defensive coordinator, do with this young defense, who many of these young guys, who a lot of them they just drafted in this latest draft, have been asked to start now. So I would like to say yes. I'm going to say an 80% yes and a 20% no. And I know it's sort of a cop-out answer, but I'm going to roll with it because the 49ers have just had such a weird season. Yes, they've had a relatively, like I say in air quotes, easy schedule, but they've had so many injuries to deal with. And I think if it was any other team, the answer is going to be, with any other defensive coordinator, the answer is for sure no. But because they have Robert Saleh, because they have the offensive genius brain of Kyle Shanahan on that sideline, I have a hard time saying no. Those two guys can really scheme up anything. I mean, you guys know in Seattle, Sam Darnold, Kyle Shanahan resurrected his career. So never say never. Even if Brock Purdy goes down, they've got a great backup quarterback in Mac Jones. And I think making a deep run is about health. It's about depth. And the 49ers are at the end of their depth, but they still have some at some positions. And so that's what counts. So my cop-out answer is 80% yes, 20% no.
Hey, we'll take it, right? At least you're giving us percentages. Gerard, we know you guys are playoff bound, Super Bowl bound, according to some people. But what do you think about the 49ers kind of crashing the party? I know the NFC North has a couple teams that they say, hey, don't count us out, right? In Green Bay, Chicago, and Detroit. What are your thoughts on San Francisco being that third team in the NFC West to make the playoffs?
My answer last week was no, but I did a little deep dive into the schedules, and I think my answer now is definitely yes. They're 8-4 right now. So let's just say they win the next two games, who they should beat, Cleveland and Tennessee, okay? But then they crash out at the very end and lose to Indianapolis, Seattle, and Chicago. So they finished 10-7. Well, there's really only two teams they got to worry about if they finish 10-7, and I think that is Dallas and Carolina. Carolina's going to fade. We saw that. They're about to take another L on Sunday when the Rams head out to Carolina. The Cowboys, if you listen to what they've got the rest of their schedule, they're 5-5-1 right now, but they've got to play KC at home. They can win that game, but they've got to play at Detroit, and then they still got to play the Chargers out here, and then two more NFC East games against Washington in D.C. and the Giants in New York. Anything can happen in those games. So I'm not so sure the Cowboys can pull their weight to take the 49ers spot, even if the 49ers were to finish 10-7. Carolina's certainly not going to win out the rest of the way. So I think the 49ers, as long as Brock Purdy doesn't go nuts and play as bad as he did last night, I think the 49ers are going to slide in at 7 or 8. I do.
All right, Helmbrecht, what do you think about San Francisco joining the party? I know you guys are still, have your eyes on the overall division, but what do you think about three teams from the NFC West joining the postseason?
Well, as you heard, obviously here in Seattle, a lot of eyes are on the Rams, seeing how they're doing because the Seahawks are trying to pay attention to their schedule while also consider their own. Seattle specifically getting some players back from injured reserve. I think that this is a race between the NFC North and the NFC West for which teams can make which three teams from that division will make the playoffs, because I think it's between those two. I agree that I think Carolina is going to fall off, and so I think the 49ers have a chance with Brock Purdy. The fact that they've been able to play so well without him, a big testament to Christian McCaffrey. The difficulty for both the NFC North and the NFC West is how many times these teams need to play each other. They're going to beat each other up a couple of times before we even make the postseason. So I really think that it's a team with 10 wins, confidently going into the postseason with that 7 seed. I think the Seahawks probably going to get 11 or 12 wins by the end of it. But I think if the 49ers are able to hold their own and are able to do better than the Lions do, then I think the 49ers get in and the Lions are the odd ones out, looking from the outside in, knowing that the NFC North started the season as the best conference. Now I feel like people are going to argue NFC West overall best conference, even though Cardinals haven't been pulling their weight there.
All right, Laura, real quick question. Who's the top wideout for the Seattle Seahawks?
The top wideout? Are you kidding me? I think he's the potential MVP. Jackson Smith and Jigba, by far.
Oh, I just wanted to ask you because you hadn't mentioned him this segment, so I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about it. We're going to talk about him in the next segment because we're going to talk about who we think is the MVP of the NFC West, right? Like I said, the Cardinals, they're not thinking playoffs. They're thinking Thanksgiving, right? They're thinking greens, tomatoes, ham. They're thinking of all the stuffing and all that stuff. But, yeah, so no playoffs for the Cardinals. And I would like to see San Francisco get into the postseason, right? Because, it's cool to see Brock Purdy kind of light a fire in that team. Yeah, Mac Jones was a great backup. I think every team in the NFC West has a great backup. I think Jacoby Brissett's doing a fantastic job with the Arizona Cardinals. He definitely gave them an uptick at the quarterback position. So as long as the 49ers are relevant, Christian McCaffrey is going to play more minutes. That's good for the Chimichangas, my fantasy football team. So it's all full circle, baby. That's for sure. And by the way, CMC, He could be the MVP, right? More on that coming up right after the break. All right, and we're back. This is it, the final segment. It's kind of like last call where they say, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, right? We're still going to have fun, though. We're going to finish up strong. We already know, Gerard and those guys in L.A. are talking Super Bowl already, right? So, we'll talk about whether they're going to be in the Super Bowl a little bit later, maybe next show. But let's talk about who is the best in the NFC West player-wise, right? Who is the MVP of the division? Lauren, I know you're going to want to talk about Kenneth Walker, but other than Kenneth Walker, who do you think should be the MVP of the NFC West representing the Seattle Seahawks?
All right, I appreciate the jokes. I appreciate everything because you see, I literally have pages written about JSN. You're making fun of me, and I like it. JSN by far deserves to be the MVP of not only the division, but overall. I'm going to wax poetic a bit here. Sets the single season record for receiving yards in 11 games. He needs just 21 receptions to set the Seahawks single season receptions record. He's on pace to break Calvin Johnson's single season receiving yards that he set back in 2012 with 1,964. JSN, yes, will play an additional game, but I think he could break that elusive 2,000-yard mark. He needs to average 109 yards per game to break Calvin Johnson's record. He can do it. He might be able to do it in 16 games for all the football purists who say, well, it's different if it's 17 games. Let's just let him do it in 16 games. Right now, he's averaging 119 yards and more receiving yards by himself than the receiving rooms for the Titans, the Jets, the Raiders, and the Steelers, and the Browns. As a whole unit, JSN's doing that by himself. So, set NFL history, 75 or more receiving yards, 11 games straight, the only player to ever do that. So those are all the stats. But the thing that really stands out to me is that the Seahawks aren't really a pass-heavy team when you think about it. Sam Darnold, the Hawks picking their spots. They rank 31st in the NFL in total passing attempts with 302. However, they're also 5th in the league in passer rating. So Darnold knows when to pass, he knows when to find Jackson Smith-Njigba, and JSN knows how to make the most of his opportunities. I'm going to leave you with a stat. I saw a stat online from NFL analyst Scott Barrett. Jackson Smith-Njigba is averaging 4.49 receiving yards per team pass attempt. That is third most in NFL history. The guys ahead of him, Jim Benton in 1945 and Harlan Hill, 1956. JSN deserves to be the MVP.
Boy, I remember Benton and Hill. They were a heck of a players. Both those guys were fantastic. Those were the good old days. All right, Gerard, tell me about this Matthew Stafford guy. I thought he had a bad back. What's going on here? You guys sandbagging over there in Hollywood?
I love everything that Lauren just brought to the table right there. But you know what? She's wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, the MVP is 37-year-old season 17 quarterback Matthew Stafford of the Los Angeles Rams. 66% of his passes are complete. He's got 30 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Thrown for over 2,800 yards. He plays the hardest position in all of sports, quarterback, and the Rams have the best record in the National Football League. There is no way Matthew Stafford right now, unless these last couple of games go downhill, is not going to be the MVP, and the Rams are not going to go downhill. Matthew Stafford is going to be the MVP at age 37. A phenomenal feat.
All right, I'm writing it down in my diary. Lauren and Gerard are wrong, but we need to work on Gerard's confidence to make sure he can feel more confident next time. All right, Bailey, can you please explain to these two lovely guests why CMC, Christian McCaffrey, is the MVP of the NFC West? Please, can you explain it to them?
It's so funny. I wrote down 3 names in my notebook, which nobody should read because my handwriting's really messy and I'm a horrible speller. But the topic number 4, I just wrote Stafford. I wrote Stafford, and I write that as somebody who covers the San Francisco 49ers because Matthew Stafford, I know, bring it on. Matthew Stafford is having a career season. I mean, when they play, they've played each other twice, but when they played the 49ers, Matthew Stafford is one of the best players on the field, and I say one of the best players on the field because the other name I wrote down, and yes, we have 3 to get to, but the other name I wrote down is Christian McCaffrey, because if the San Francisco 49ers did not have Christian McCaffrey, we would not have been saying a resounding yes that the 49ers could get the wild card spot and make it into the playoffs. Christian McCaffrey has carried this offense when they had to rely on backup quarterback Mac Jones, which Mac Jones, I want to give him his flowers. He played great, but Christian McCaffrey is a once-in-a-generation running back. He can do it all, and I say his title RB, running back. Christian McCaffrey is the leading receiver for the San Francisco 49ers as well. Last night, he was the leading receiver. He had 7 receptions. And the Niners have a lot of other great targets out there, including tight end George Kittle, including receiver Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings. So Christian McCaffrey does it all. The other honorable mention that I'm going to say, and he's not out on the field playing, is Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh, because with all the injuries, I just mentioned it, that the San Francisco 49ers have had this season, this team is not in this position. Christian McCaffrey is not as successful as he is and has been this season, and the Niners are not sitting at 8-4 without those 2 masterminds on the sideline. So, yes, you got to give Matthew Stafford his flowers. We have to give Christian McCaffrey his flowers, but we also have to give coaching staffs their flowers.
Yeah.
And I rest my case.
That is so true. Yeah. Excellent points, but yeah, it's Christian McCaffrey. I have it written down in my diary. It's a done deal. Look, we're talking about the most valuable player, right? How valuable is Christian McCaffrey to the San Francisco 49ers? You just said it, Bailey. He's a running back and a receiver. If you take Christian McCaffrey off of the San Francisco 49ers, as the cool kids say, as Blake Neiman likes to say, they're cooked. Right, he calls me Unc. They're cooked, right? They can't. They're not going to win anything without Christian McCaffrey. He's the entire offense. He does it all. He's doing things that are compared to Marshall Faulk, who was an MVP, right? We're running out of time. We'll talk about the Rams going to the Super Bowl next show. But I just want to say, Gerard, just say I'm going to win the lotto, because you said they were going to have the #1 seed. Next thing you know, they haven't, right? We'll talk to you guys next week. Wish Gerard a happy birthday on Thursday, because it's Turkey Day. I figured it's his birthday. That's my dad joke of the show. Of course, we'll be back next week. I'll have more stuff for you all week long, of course. Have a good week, everybody. And happy Thanksgiving. Happy birthday, Gerard. Have a good one.